I've got some bad news for those of you who were waiting for that Xbox handheld that was supposed to come out in the next generation. Supposedly, that has been shelved for the time being, and now we have no idea when that thing will be coming out, if it will come out at all. Now, I'm really upset about this because I was looking forward to having an Xbox handheld since I have a huge digital library of Xbox games, and I would love to be able to have a device that I could put in my pocket and bring those games with me anywhere I go. But it looks like that's not coming anywhere in the near future, and it may never come at all. And that's a shame because the Xbox brand has been around for a very long time. We're talking two decades, more than 2 decades really. And we still don't have a dedicated handheld device from them. Obviously, everyone knows that they've been talking, well, not talking, but hinting at a handheld PC gaming device that's coming out probably this year. They're teaming up with Asus, and it looks like there's going to be a ROG Ally type of device with a dedicated Xbox button. But this is going to be a PC. It's not going to be able to play all of your console games, supposedly. I mean, we don't have any real information on all that yet. I have a feeling we're going to find out about it pretty soon. Having another handheld gaming PC, it's like, there's so many of them. You got the MSI Claw, you got the Lenovo Legion Go, you got the ROG Ally, you got the Steam Deck, and you can go on and on and on. And then you got the things like the Backbone, where you can take your phone, stick it in there, and it play it like a handheld gaming device. And then they got the Razer Kishi, and there's so many things. There's a Logitech G Cloud. That's a cloud gaming handheld device that Microsoft actually advertises on their site because you can use it for Xbox Remote Play. You can use it for cloud streaming when using Xbox's Game Pass service. But, none of those things interest me. I want a dedicated handheld device and not one of these huge things. Because if you notice, handheld gaming devices are pretty huge these days. The Steam Deck is like this, and the Nintendo Switch is not small either. The Lenovo Legion Go, all these things, you can't really put them in your pants pocket. There are handheld gaming devices that have been created in the past where you could slip it into your pocket, no problem. Think about the PS Vita, the PSP, even the Nintendo DS. It's like, I have a Nintendo 2DS XL, and I can put that into my pants pocket or jacket pocket, and I bring it everywhere with me. I bought one of those in 2017 after the Switch came out. I didn't buy the Switch. I don't plan on buying the Switch. I don't plan on buying the Nintendo Switch 2 either. And there's a variety of reasons for that. Mainly because of the price of the console, but more importantly, the price of the games. I've noticed that the Switch 1 games, those games don't really go down in price, because I'm looking at the price of Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey. I'm looking at the price of those things. I'm like, those came out so many years ago, and they're still like so expensive. It's like 50, 60, 70 bucks. I'm like, I'm not paying 50, 60, 70 bucks for any of that. And don't get me started on paying $80 for the new Mario Kart game. I mean, no Mario Kart game they could possibly create would be worth $80, okay? Recently, I bought Mario Kart 7 for my Nintendo 2DS XL. I got it from GameStop used for less than 20 bucks, that game. I bought Donkey Kong Country Returns for the 2DS XL that I have. That was less than 15 bucks. That's what those games are worth to me. They're not worth ridiculous prices, like 50, 60, 70. No. Maybe Grand Theft Auto 6 when it comes out next year, that would be worth 60, 70, 80 bucks maybe, because that's a once in a generation release. But you're talking like a Mario game for 80 bucks? What? Anyway, back to the Xbox handheld. Now, I was thinking about like a PSP type of device, a real small device with a small screen that it's almost the size of like an iPhone, like a small iPhone, like an iPhone 12 mini, like a real small device. And not only can it play your Xbox games in your digital library that you have right now, but developers would create games specifically for the device. Like they used to do that with the PSP and the Nintendo DS. Like Star Wars Battlefront, I think it's called Elite Squadron, something like that. They created that just for the DS and the PSP and maybe some mobile phone devices or something. And they did that with Grand Theft Auto Chinatown Wars. Remember that game? Specifically made for mobile devices, not for home consoles. That's not what it was for. And I always think that's cool when developers make games exclusive for certain kinds of consoles, because it makes you want to go out and get the console. Like Xbox had that with, Gears of War and Halo. Those used to be exclusive titles where people would go out and buy the device, the console, just to play those games, right? They don't do that anymore. Now Xbox is play anywhere, including on PlayStation. PlayStation now has Forza, and soon they're going to have the Gears of War Reloaded game, which is a remake of the original. That's going to be on PlayStation 5. Microsoft is putting their games everywhere. But it would be cool if they made a handheld device and they had like a specific Gears of War game just for that device. And you would have to buy that device just to play it. It wouldn't be on Game Pass. It wouldn't be on PlayStation or Switch or nothing. It's going to be on that device. I don't think they'd ever do that, but it would be cool if they did. And I think by shelving their handheld device, they're really leaving an opening for Sony, because Sony made that PlayStation Portal device, which a lot of people ragged on when it came out, because they're like, why do we need this device? It's like so expensive, and all it does is remote play for your PlayStation 5. Like, you had to have a PlayStation 5 to get any use out of the PS Portal. But then they sort of changed that to the point where you can buy a PS Portal now and you can like cloud stream games from PlayStation Plus, some of them. So that's pretty cool. Okay, that's a step in the right direction. I think the PS Portal is still too big, but that's me. I want a device you can put in your pocket. But I could totally see Sony coming out with a handheld within the next few years, and they're going to sell tons of them. Not only because people trust the PlayStation brand, the PlayStation 5 is outselling the Xbox by so much. And, Nintendo, they're doing their own thing with the Switch. Obviously, the Switch was an overwhelming success. The Switch 2 is coming out at midnight tonight, and people are camped out outside of stores. They're going to get it, and they're going to sell out all over the place. So it seems like everybody's having some success here, except for Xbox. They're having a different kind of success because they have a lot of good first-party games that they're putting out everywhere, including on Game Pass. And lately, Game Pass has been pretty popular because they keep putting out banger games that people love, including independent games like Claire Obscure Expedition 33. Not just, they had the Oblivion remake, they had Doom the Dark Ages, they have a lot of games coming out that people just like, wow, it's like Game Pass is actually worth it. But still, I have a feeling that Sony's going to put out a handheld that's going to crush it, and people are going to buy it. I might even buy it if it's affordable. I might buy like the next generation of the PS Vita or PSP, especially if it's a small one you could put in your pocket, because that is something that's not around these days. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of like retro gaming consoles where you can put ROMs on them. They're like run through emulation, old games, and yeah, but I mean, like, there's nothing current generation where you could like just slip it in your pocket and play it. It's like, that would be the coolest thing, and I think Sony's going to do it. I really think they're going to do it within the next couple of years, and we now know that Microsoft will not be doing it. It's such an L for Microsoft to take. I have a feeling their gaming PC that they're about to put out with Asus is not going to be a big seller, because I have a feeling it's going to be expensive as heck. And with people maybe spending money on buying a Switch 2 this year, like within the next 24 hours, people are going to be spending money on that. I highly doubt they're going to shell out, $600, $700, who knows how much money that thing is going to cost, that Xbox Asus device. It's not going to be cheap. I mean, if they put it out for a really cheap price, then okay, they'll turn some heads. They're not going to do that, though. I mean, they just raised the price of their own consoles. So it looks like we will have to wait a long time for a dedicated Xbox handheld. And that's a tragedy. I mean, it's like, for anybody who is part of the Xbox ecosystem, it's like, That's a glaring hole that they're missing. Like they're missing this thing that, you know, the Switch, obviously you can take the Switch with you everywhere. PlayStation, I know they're going to put out a new device at some point. I mean, the PSP, remember that thing? A lot of people love the PSP. I mean, the PS Vita, if you want to have a history lesson, I mean, a lot of people think it failed for a variety of reasons. Part of it was because they were trying to rip you off with the storage that you had to keep adding to your device, and it was just so expensive that, you know, the whole thing fell apart pretty quickly. So, but people think the device itself was pretty cool. It's just because of decisions made by Sony, they kind of killed their own device. And I don't think they're going to make the same mistake next time, especially since they're enjoying tremendous success with the PlayStation 5. You know, I can't be mad at Sony right now. Like, if they put out a device that kind of kills whatever Microsoft is doing, and a handheld that could even compete with the Switch 2 maybe, because maybe they could put out a more powerful device than the Switch 2 that people would love to play games on that. And if developers make games specific for that PlayStation Portable, you know, Xbox is going to be left out in the cold. I mean, a lot of people are saying they're going to have this brand new console in a couple years that supposedly the people at Microsoft, they're saying it's the biggest leap in gaming console history or whatever, biggest technological leap. That's what they said. And it's sort of like, well, do we really need that? I mean, we already have the PlayStation 5, we have the Xbox Series X, and these are extremely powerful consoles. So if you put out, and they're expensive too. So if you put out another super powerful console and you sell it for an enormous amount of money, I mean, I don't think that's going to be super successful unless, you know, they have some kind of gimmick with it. Like, you can use it as a PC as well. A lot of people have always wondered, hey, is Xbox ever going to, you know, use the fact that Microsoft owns the Windows operating system, and hey, you could just like have a gaming console plus a personal PC that you can use for other things. I mean, that would be brilliant, and maybe people would buy it then, and it would justify the higher cost. But even so, I really think that it shouldn't have been the handheld that was shelved. It should have been the home console that was shelved, because you can see that people really want stuff that you can take around with you. That's why the Switch is popular. That's why the Steam Deck's popular. That's why all these PC gaming handhelds are out there and people are buying them. And like I said, I don't think Sony made the PlayStation Portal by mistake. You know, that thing is the first step towards a new Sony portable device. And then Xbox is just like, no, we're not going to make a handheld. It's a shame. And it's an L for Microsoft.